Peace, family. Today we're going to discuss why is it that when gold and silver rises together, it comes before a crisis. Now, this is for you to see a pattern, and we're going to go through some historical data for you to do so. Now, my name is Keen Singh from Discipline to Keys, and this is not financial advice, it's educational content only. Please do your own independent research. So, every time people see gold and silver moving together at higher rates, they think it's a coincidence, but it's not. You see, this is one of the oldest warning signals in financial history. And most people seem to only recognize this after something breaks. Because under normal conditions, gold and silver don't move together. Gold is protection, silver is productivity. And when both rise at the same time, it's telling us that something is brewing beneath the surface. So let's look at history. In the late 1970s, gold and silver surged together. Inflation was spiraling, oil prices were exploding, and confidence in the dollar was collapsing. So, what followed wasn't prosperity, it was the 1980s recession, it was emergency rate hikes, and a monetary reset. So, let's fast forward a bit to 2007 to the 2011 era. Gold started to rise quietly at first, and silver lagged. But then silver suddenly surged. And none of this is optimism. That was stress spreading from Wall Street into the real economy. And what followed was a 2008 financial crisis. Banks failed, there was bailouts, quantitative easing, and once again we saw metals moving before the headlines. Then in 2020, it happened again. This was during COVID. Gold spiked on fear, and silver followed aggressively. Physical shortages spreaded, and supply chains cracked. Governments printed money, and they printed it at historic levels. Inflation that followed wasn't an accident. The inflation was already priced in. So, why does this pattern keep repeating? Because the system itself hasn't changed. So, you see, this is where you have to understand that gold rises when confidence in paper systems weakens, and silver, on the other hand, rises when that distrust spreads. It spreads into production, trade, and daily life. So when both move together, it means capital is no longer chasing growth, it's seeking preservation. It's not a bet on the upside, it's a hedge against fracture. And you see this happen a lot of times when the wealthy see something coming in the market, they move their money into the metals because it's a hedge against inflation. Then there this is where silver becomes critical because silver isn't just money, it's infrastructure. It's used in energy, electronics, it's used in medicine, it's used in solar, defense, and it sits at the intersection of finance and function. So when silver starts rising alongside gold, it tells us something very important, that fear has crossed from balance sheets into the real economy. That's why silver tends to overshoot during crisis periods. It's it's thinly supplied, heavily controlled, and it violently reprices when stress breaks through. So what does this mean now? Well, It doesn't mean that a collapse is going to happen. So it doesn't mean that a collapse is going to happen tomorrow. It doesn't mean that you need to panic. But it means that the market is positioning itself before disruption becomes visible. Institutions, they always move early, and the public are the ones who tend to react late. When gold and silver rise together, history shows the same message every time. And that something is being hedged against, that something is being prepared for, and the reset usually arrives after positioning is complete. This mistake most people make, the mistake that most people make is asking, can I make money from this? The bigger question, however, is what is the system protecting itself from? Because gold and silver don't move like this for no reason. They move when trust erodes, they move when stability becomes conditional, and when the world is quietly bracing for impact. This is not a prediction. So remember, this is not a prediction. It's a pattern. And patterns don't repeat because people remember them. They repeat because people forget about them. Most people have a tendency of waiting for confirmation. But remember, by the time the headlines get to explaining what's happening, positioning is already done. This is why I'm giving you this information. This is why I've created a Silver Playbook so that you can be prepared. It's not for me to tell you what to buy, but for me to show you what the system prepares for before it cracks. And it's definitely to show you how historically silver fits into this moment. If you're serious about protecting your future and not gambling on it, then just know that there's a playbook for you. I'll drop it February 17th. Be prepared, be ready. In the meantime, take in this information, do your research, and be prepared for what's to come. You see the patterns, you hear me teach you about it. What you have to do now? Be prepared.